Have you ever started January feeling broke, bloated, and burnt out, wondering how did I get here? What if this year you could enjoy the holidays without the guilt, debt, and regret in January?
Spending with intention is the secret. And today we're going to talk about the 5 things that you can do to navigate the season with clarity and confidence. Let's get into it.
Yes. So it's so funny that I feel like when we start January, we're coming off of the high of December, and it's almost like, I don't know if the right word is an oxymoron, but it's just like, if I were about to run a marathon, which is, basically the beginning of a new year, I'd probably prepare. But it's like in December, right, we eat the most, we drink the most, we party the most, we spend the most money. But then when January comes, we want to be the most financially fit, physically fit, and everything else. Yeah. How is it? It's like two polar opposites in 2 months, like back to back. And I feel like it sets people up almost for failure. And then when like people set these New Year's goals, they're gassed out in like the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, because they're starting from like beneath base level.
Right.
So it's like a huge drastic change, and then that kind of like fizzles out over time. And one thing that I was thinking about too is the difference between going through a season with a plan and the difference between just letting the season kind of manage itself, right? Or kind of hit you, right? And so I think that's what we're going to be talking about today, is the power and the importance of not like a rigid, strict, restrictive plan, but just something where you've actually set an intention to go into that season with your broader goals in mind, right? And so I think oftentimes, I would even say like at the end of the year, a lot of people probably just feel tired in general. Like it's been a long year, they've battled a lot of stuff, it's the holiday season, people can kind of let go and do their thing and completely let go, and then they'll reset in January. But it's like, what if we could approach this differently in a way where you can relax, you can feel less stressed, you don't have to go on a binger and then come back in January and reset yourself. So
I absolutely agree. And I feel like, and we'll touch on this more, but it's just like in any other area in life, you would set boundaries, make a plan, but it seems like there's all this pressure going into the holidays just because you get online, you're seeing all these commercials, Amazon's having all these sales, you go to work, there's all of these unexpected Christmas parties and this happening, food. And this is one thing where I've historically said the 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays because it's surrounded by beach, barbecue, baseball. You don't have to show up with a gift. There are no expectations. You can spend it with family or not, and you get to just hang out.
Yeah. And I think Christmas, like you said, there is a lot of expectation, and then there's a lot of societal expectation to buy more stuff, right? Like you need more, everything that you want is on sale. I feel like I was even caught up on Black Friday a little bit. I was like, do I need this, or do I just want to buy this because it's on sale? And then there's also relational expectation. It's an expectation that you spend time with your family, that you're connecting with people, even people maybe you're not really that excited to connect with. And so there can leave a drain on your time, on your energy and your emotions that way. And then there's a financial expectation where, we kind of talked about that a little bit, but there's a lot of expectation. And so I think the number one thing to start this season off with confidence is to actually assess your values. Right?
Okay, so is that number one?
That's number one.
So we're going to walk through 5 things of how to start this season off with confidence. And the number one thing is to start this off with your values.
Yes, like what?
It's to clarify your values.
Yes, what are your values, right?
Values around the holidays.
Around the holidays, but also around like who you are as a person and how you want to show up, right?
Yeah, so can you just give us an example? So what are some of your values around the holiday season?
Okay, so some of my values around the holiday season. I like to slow down during the holiday season. I know that that's maybe not the case for everybody. We don't have children yet. We're currently like a few days away from a due date. But for me, I feel like I can let go of some of the stress from that year because we've got the lights, we've got the movies, we've got the food, we've got people, and I can just let myself unwind a little bit. And I feel like that's a really important part of my season. Like having a good Christmas season is being able to slow down, because in general, I'm a very fast-paced person. I like to get stuff done. I like to complete projects. I like to hit milestones. And so for me, resting is a big part and a big value of the holiday season. And so if I'm not doing that, or if I look at my calendar and I feel stressed out, that's a signal for me that I need to either review some things and say no to some things and let some people down, just to make sure that I'm taking care of me and filling up my cup. What would one of your values be?
I would say one of my values would be just carrying on holiday traditions. My dad passed away back in 2020, and he had a ton of traditions, such as making this holiday bread that our family makes, that we've now picked up the mantle the last couple of years. For Thanksgiving, he smokes a turkey. I started the tradition in my family maybe 12 years ago of doing a roast. And so every year just building on that, and then just even some of the traditions that we've built, getting our Christmas tree after Thanksgiving. And then one of the things that I haven't told you about prior to this week is every year I'm working on taking our Christmas decoration game just at least 1% better. So I'm trying to think, okay, what's an extra decoration I can add to the house? So I have like an idea of this garland archway that I want to do over there. I know you guys can't see it, but we're in the living room and there's like a little archway, and I want to put a little garland around it and decorate it with some Christmas bulbs, some mistletoe, some lights, and just really take that area. So my thought is like each year I'm going to kind of work on a different section of the living room until it looks like Santa's play shop or toy shop or whatever you call it, Winter Wonderland.
And so I think as you're going into this season, one thing that I would highly encourage you to do, and this is even if you're the most busy person, like you've got a full-time job, husband, kids, holiday parties, birthday parties, potentially, Christmas performances, rehearsals, like give yourself some time to slow down and reflect and really think about what you want this season to look like and how you want to show up. I have a coaching client who she posed these 2 questions that she was going to ask herself, and they really hit me. And one of them is like, how do I want to show up today? And what strengths do I want to showcase? And so I think it's important that you look at some of the stuff that you're really good at and give yourself permission to maybe not do some stuff that you're maybe not so good at. Because I think a lot of times in the holidays, we feel pressure to do stuff that we're maybe not so good at, and then it drains us.
Like wrapping gifts.
Like wrapping gifts. Maybe you need to go to the store and have them wrap for you. Where can you spend a little bit more money to save a little bit of energy? And where can you spend more energy and save a little bit of money based on what is important to you and what your values are? I also would say, look at your calendar. And if your calendar is stressing you out, take some time to meet with your husband, meet with your wife, meet with your family, and just say, hey, these are the obligations that I feel really excited about and committed to, and these are the things that I'm going to have to pass on this year. And just be okay with setting those boundaries, because I think it'll protect your space and help you live in the values that you have. And then lastly, I would say, ask yourself what you actually want this season to look like and feel like. Like we said at the beginning, I think a lot of times we could just rush through this season and feel really burnt out at the end of it. But what do you want it to look like? What do you want it to feel like? Like you have the power to create that experience for yourself, for your family, for your kids. And so I think even just if you're to spend 15, 20 minutes tonight to review that, or, a couple minutes in the morning thinking about how you want to show up that day, I think that will make a big difference than just being in survival mode and reacting to the things that happen throughout the day.
Sounds good. So clarify those values.
Yeah.
So let's hop into point number 2.
Okay, so point number 2, this is more of the financial piece of things. Determine your spending buckets now before you get wrapped up into all the marketing and the pressure and the expectation, right? So what do you want to spend money on that will align with those values? And what do you not want to spend money on because it does not align with your values?
Is this where we have the 4 spending buckets?
Yes.
Yes. And tell us what the 4 spending buckets are.
So the 4 major spending buckets during the holidays is obviously gifts, travel. So are you traveling for the holidays? Are you going on a trip? Are you going on a vacation? Are you visiting family? The third one is hosting and food. So for us, this is a big category that we like to spend money on because we love hosting, we love preparing food, we love going all out. We are not cheap in this category at all. So that is a big line item for us personally. And then the last one is like decor, random,
Which also sounds like
Miscellaneous.
is growing for ours as well.
Yes,
Hence
we've
my
got a new
1%. Yeah.
1% better. And what you can't see
Yeah.
is the level of ornaments that we have to decide on which ones are actually going on the tree, which will be happening after this video.
Yeah, and which will be going back to the store.
That's right. And so those are the four primary buckets. And we actually have a little holiday spending template that we created to help you work out some of those numbers if you want. We're going to include that in the description box below, so you can use that if it's helpful to you.
Yes, and so earlier today we were on a call and we were talking with someone about how to think through these 4 different areas. And so this person lived in a state and they were traveling to, of course they lived in a state. They lived in the state of Florida, but they were also traveling to a different city in that state of Florida to go visit family. So they had one budget for their travel to go visit family. They had another budget, of course, for gifts, but since they're also going to visit family, they had an extension, they're trying to figure out how do I work in this gift budget because I'm going to be around a lot more people because I'm traveling to go see family, plus my immediate family that I'm taking with me, transportation to even get there. Decorations were going to be low because they weren't going to be at their home as much, and their main part of their season was going to be where they were traveling to, and then hosting.
Yeah.
And so they were. One thought was, it was like, well, what if I hosted a dinner? I could maybe host my dinner as a Christmas gift and take everyone out to a dinner and cross those 2 budgets and knock it out at the same time, which I thought was an excellent idea. I shared that one of my favorite. Back when the last firm that I worked at before I left to start Steadyworth, the first year I was there was 2006. We got bonuses at Christmas, but we also got a Christmas card that had like another $150 in it. And they said, hey, use this money to take someone out for a holiday meal. And I thought that was so great. I mean, I took like 3 people out. I had to go way over the 150. But it's like, I really like that idea because, I mean, I feel like as an adult, what's a $150 gift? I don't mean to be like this, but I don't really get excited about gifts like that anymore. I mean, $150 is like a pair of AirPods, but which is great, but I mean, I'm fine with the plug-in cord ones. As a matter of fact, I have a pair over there, but I'd much rather go eat and have some quality time with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think also that comes from understanding your values and understanding what type of experience you want to have for the holidays, right? Like for Gabe, relationship is super important. For example, the day before Thanksgiving, he was on the phone for a total of 6 hours with 3 different, 2 uncles and a brother,
Well, not
connecting.
a total. That was just for those 3 conversations.
Yeah, just
I
3
was on the phone longer than that, actually.
But Gabe is a relationship person, so he wants to spend time building relationship with people who are not necessarily here, but he still wants to connect with. So that's a big value of him. That's how he spends a good portion of his time. So kind of going back to understanding your values and how you want to do that, it's important to understand that and invest the time.
So think through those 4 categories. Feel free to download the sheet. Think through those 4 categories of spending. And I know you might be thinking like, what, hey, and one conversation that often comes up when people are looking through this, they're like, dang, now that I see these numbers, this is an extra $4,000, $5,000, $10,000. I actually didn't even have this money in my budget, and this was causing the hangover. I mean, 1, keep your overall goals in mind. Do what you can do to drill down this year, and maybe part of this is leading you into January where you're like, okay, maybe in January I'm going to start a Christmas fund for next year where I'm actually putting aside somewhere between $400-800 a month and just saving that so that when it gets to December, I don't have this huge bill, but I actually have something that I've been paying towards. Laura's mom, who's a master budgeter, once shared this with me like a long time ago. She was saying, hey, when the kids were younger, I used to save $100 a month so that when I got to this back in the 90s, and so that when I got to December, I had a $1,200 Christmas fund that I didn't have to worry about where I was going to get money for gifts and food and this and that. I already had this fund that I'd been working on all year. And I think a lot of people don't really think about being proactive towards the holidays. They are being reactive, and then all of a sudden we get to January and we have this holiday hangover of all of these things that have happened. And so even if you're going into this season reactive, don't worry, you just have to weather this one the best you can, but you also now are going to have the knowledge on how you can be proactive moving forward.
And I think the best way to have agency and freedom over your life and your money is to have awareness. And if you don't have awareness, you're not going to be able to make decisions where you feel in control and confident.
Yes.
So even if all this season does is bring awareness to where you're spending and what your values are, that is really good. And I would pat yourself on the back, even if your numbers don't necessarily look exactly how you want them to.
We're all starting from somewhere.
We are all starting from somewhere, but that leads us to our next place, which will hopefully be help you save a little bit of money during this season as well, because we've just found this to be more impactful than spending a lot of money on gifts. But number 3 is when you're thinking about gift giving, focus on intention, not the price tag. It doesn't just because it costs a lot doesn't mean it's meaningful. And so I think you should give yourself some room to, again, slow down, reflect, think about the people that you actually want to give gifts to and what they like and what would make sense for them. And instead of waiting till the last minute, like we've done in the past, and just buying a gift card. And, no one wants a $25 gift card anymore. Maybe they do. Or a $5.
But also, I think about, even if I'm buying a physical thing, sometimes when I wait too long and I don't know what to buy, I might overspend.
Right.
Whereas if I have spent some time with that person, I can know in advance. One story that we talk about is that I really like homemade soap that you can find at like the farmer's market, some grocery stores, some gift shops. And so a homemade soap bar is like $8. And so Laura gets me a couple of those. I'm excited about it. I mean, those are probably stocking stuffers for us or whatever. But the point is, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, she came home with a couple the other day. I was really excited about them. Whereas if I know somebody likes that, I could get that, and that would be a well thoughtful gift. Whereas I'm like, I don't know what they want. So I'm like, okay, should I get them this or that? And I'm just going down this whole list of things. So the better you know someone, you can get them a gift that's really intentional. And it can be a lot more impactful than just having to show up with something that you're not sure about, but you're overspending on.
Yeah, and just to plug, we did do a Christmas gift guide last week on our YouTube channel of a bunch of gifts, thoughtful, intentional gifts that you could give somebody that are under $35. So if you need some ideas, go check that out.
Yes.
The great thing is that and one of the things that I like to do is I actually like to shop local. So if there's a local family-owned business that sells local sellers or local business owners, making soap, candles, things like that. Those are some of my favorite gifts to give, just because I feel like they're a little bit more meaningful because someone in our community has made them. And even if it's not that, like, Gabe's about to show you.
Yes, I was going to say, one of the things I had on the gift guide, which I actually got this from myself, and you're getting old when you're buying yourself Christmas mugs for your birthday. But last year I was like, happened to be online, and I was looking for some new mugs, and then I ran into these mugs at Pottery Barn, and I have more than, I'm ashamed to tell you how many I have, but they have multiple. But this is a elf theme movie. The best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear, and it has the clausometer on there. And so this is one of the mugs that we have on our gift guide at Pottery Barn. This is $15. I don't get any money for telling you this. Also, there's some coffee in here, and there's a great coffee that we have on the gift guide. So those are just two of the things, but several gift ideas. All of them are under $35.
Yeah. And so spending a few minutes even talking to someone that you're going to get a gift for and asking them a little bit about what's exciting for them, what they like, and even doing it more as a disguise so that you can think about what kind of gifts you want to get them later. So
awesome.
Anything else there?
No, I think be intentional with gifts.
Yes. Okay. So I knocked the camera a little bit. Okay. So number 4 is quality time over more stuff.
Yes. And so today when we were on a call, we were speaking with someone who has a 10-year-old son, and they were just even talking about how they have noticed that their son actually appreciates spending more quality time with them than just the stuff that he's brought his son. And I think about, even when we think back to being kids, we can think more about the time that we've spent with our family members. It's hard to remember gifts. I remember specifically, I think it was like my 9th or my 11th birthday, I got a bike. That was, like a big kid's bike. You know, that was a big one. I used to love when my dad would take me fishing on my birthday. We did that for several years. It was like, we're going to go meet Uncle Daryl. We're going fishing. And at the end of the day, it's just like, it's the memories, which is the time. The stuff, is here and there.
Yeah, like as a kid, I remember, so we lived in a pretty small house growing up. One of my favorite things about Christmas morning was that the night before Christmas, my dad would actually hang a blanket over the living room. And so we would obviously leave cookies out and milk for Santa Claus. But when we woke up in the morning, we couldn't actually see the living room until everyone got up. So there was this like really intense excitement and anticipation for this blanket to come down and to see all the gifts under the Christmas tree. And again, I don't really
So
remember.
the gifts weren't under the tree prior
They were
to...
under the tree, so basically the night before, Dad would put up a blanket. We would all go to bed, and then they would fill under the tree with all these gifts. But when we woke up, it was like a shield that we couldn't see until everyone got up. And I think a lot of times Mom and Dad would make coffee, like we would have like a tiny breakfast before we started. So like my brother and I were like drooling, like waiting to get back there. But I remember that, and that being a really fun part of Christmas morning.
We've already talked about this in the last few days. Laura and I came from 2 different families. This was not, it was like, look, 7 o'clock, let's get up, let's get to cracking. We're going to eat after this.
Yeah. So there was like this really fun anticipation that came with Christmas morning. And I remember that more than actually any gift that I got, right? It was that my parents tried really hard to make the morning special and meaningful, and give us an experience versus just have at it, get out there, rip all the presents open. And I won't go on this for too long, but my mom would actually play Santa, and she would give us the gifts in order. So we couldn't just we could pick, but like also Mom wanted to like save the big gifts for last. So it was a process, but it was fun. I remember that experience because it actually made us slow down instead of just like rip all of our gifts open and not really appreciate each one that we got. And so I feel like that has cultivated this spirit of gratitude in me personally around gifts and opening gifts, because it wasn't like a free-for-all. Okay. So anyways, off the reservation a little bit there, but I think just that highlights the point of intention and creating an intentional experience versus the price tag or the number of gifts. Like we didn't ever have an overwhelming amount of gifts under the tree, but it always felt meaningful because of that, how she set it up. So, that was quality time over more stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, so kids remember experiences, adults remember connection.
Yes.
So we're talking about just building connection and giving yourself permission to spend quality time with people versus just giving them more stuff for the sake of giving them more stuff. And creating memories is present. What creates memories is presence, not presence.
Yes. Your present is your presence.
That's right.
Yes. So point number 4.
We're on point number 5.
Point number 5.
Already.
In the home stretch.
In the home stretch, yes. So point number 5, enjoy the season, but keep your larger goals in mind.
Yes. And that's what we open this up with, because it's like so many times we start a year or we go into the holidays and we can lose our mind, we can overspend, we can overeat. And then it's like, this isn't my goal for 2026. And I have these big goals for 2026, but I'm starting behind the 8 ball going into 2026. And so when we think about keeping our larger goals in mind, once again, coming into the holidays with a plan, if you're going to buy a house, we would know what our non-negotiables are, what we're going to spend money on in buying the house, what we don't want to spend. If we want a pool, we don't want a pool. If we want an attached garage, we don't want an attached garage. We need a fenced-in yard, we don't need a fenced-in yard. If we're buying a car, we know if we want, leather, we want cloth, we want sunroof, SUV, 4-door, 2-door, all of the things. Yeah. And so we would have clear things of what we want and what we don't want. We also need to have that going into the holidays so that we can, and I feel like we're still defining the things that we don't and don't want. I mean, we're clear on what our values are and our intentions, but I mean, every year we're going to be massaging this, especially even as we start to have children and doing gifts and stuff with them. And so we also want to just encourage you to, get very clear on what it is you do want and what you don't want, so that you can, and also keeping your overarching goals in mind. Because imagine if you were going on a vacation and you've planned this great vacation, but you get to the airport and you just spend a ton of money. The plane hasn't even left yet. You spend a ton of money, you just buy out the whole airport, just everything, all the gift shops. Like, oh my gosh, they have all these shirts here. Then you land, next airport, you buy out everything. You haven't even made it to the hotel yet. Then you get to the hotel, it's like, I just spent like $3,000. I haven't even got to the hotel yet. And so then you get there and then it's like, you're like totally like, you're still trying just to get in vacation mode and get going. And so, but you're doing all this stuff while you're getting there. And so it's just like, make sure you think about this, like keep your overarching goal in mind. Like the holidays is just one step, it's just one section of the year, but we have a whole other year we're coming into, other goals that we have to consider, to keep in mind. And so like, let's just look at it as a holistic picture. That's the same thing we talk about when we're speaking about financial planning. We're not just looking at investments, but we're looking at insurance, taxes, estate planning, debt, how we're going to accomplish goals, everything else that's into the plan. And we want you to keep your holidays as, this is December, but there's also 12 other months of the year.
Yeah.
11 other months. I'm sorry. There are not 13 months in the year. 11 other months in the year.
Yeah, I think you make a great point, because it's like we can get so laser focused on one season or one thing that we forget the bigger picture, and elevating your perspective was really going to help you spend intentionally. And one thing that I would just echo and make even more clear is sometimes it's like you might feel really stressed this holiday season with a lot of different things going on. Maybe you had a really tough year. We've been there. This year was not as crazy as last year for us. So we're not feeling as much weight as we go into this season, but you might be feeling that. And I would just echo, like, even if you didn't sit down and write down a budget, and you didn't clarify your spending goals, and you didn't get really nitty gritty with the numbers, and you didn't stay on track with it, even just sitting down and going, I really want this season to look like blank. Like, I want to be present during the season. I want to make sure that I connect with my family, or the family that I feel like I haven't connected with as well, or family members that are maybe getting older and I don't know how much time I have left with them. I really want to make sure that I'm present for my kids, or I really want to make sure that I give myself a break this holiday season. Like, even if you just do that, I can tell you mentally and emotionally, because 90% of our decisions are emotional. So if you can just sit down and get your emotional capacities in a more regulated place, all this other stuff that we're talking about would probably just naturally fall into place. Of course, it's great to be really specific with your finances and your budget and all that stuff, but maybe you don't have capacity for that at this point. It's okay to just do that, because I think that will guide a lot of your decision making. So that's kind of like the last point I wanted to make.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Hope you have a happy holidays. We're looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for joining us. See you soon.